Hello, my dear children. Today I came with an English lesson for you. First of all, I think I must introduce myself. I'm Mrs. Thanuja Fernando from Matingane Mahavidyalaya. So, I think these days you are a bit confused due to this corona pandemic. But we have to think, my dear, our life is such. We can simply say that life is just like a river, and there is not an easy way for a river. When the river flows, it has to go through the thorny bushes and around the rocks, through the mountains, and everywhere. There are many barriers, but the rivers, never go reverse. They don't stop their way, they go forward. The rivers never go reverse. So, life is also just like a river. We have to go forward, we have to face all the challenges we meet in our lives. Right. Okay. Then let's switch on to our lesson. Today, I hope to speak with you regarding the GC O-level paper 14th question. My dear, we have two papers for the O-level examination. Paper 1 is with 8 questions, 5 marks for each, and paper 2 is with another 8 questions, that is in different marks. So, this O-level paper 2, the 14th question is, you have two options. You have two options there. You have to select either to write a letter writing or describing a graph or a chart, right? So, let's see what are the criteria we find in this question. Now, as I suppose, my dear children, this is the easiest question that we can get marks for the O-level exam in the second paper. So, please get ready for this question and go and construct your answer well. Now, when we are going to construct an essay type question like this, we have to consider the marking criteria, the content of our writing. Now, when we are going to describe a graph or a chart, what should be included in our content? අපිට අපේ ප්‍රශ්නය තුල පිළිතුර තුල ඇතුළත් විය යුතු කරුණු සමූහයට තමයි මේ content වල හම්බෙන 3 marks we get. So, if all the necessary point included, you would get 3 marks, if not 2, 1, 0, like that. And the language you use, if they are almost all the sentences are correct grammatically and no any errors, you can get 3 marks, if not 2, 1, like that. And the organization of facts. When we construct an essay type question, we have to think about the organization of facts. We have to write it step by step we should have an introduction, and we have to analyze the data of the bar graph, and we have to conclude it. So it should have a sequential order, right? Then the mechanics of writing, you have to use all the things needed, especially the punctuation marks, capitalization, all these things you must be paid into consideration. Now next we'll see what types of graphs and charts we are getting for the O-level examination, and we would have got. Now this is a bar graph, right? Normally we are getting bar graphs for this question, and you should know the things in the bar graph. Now you can see from this arrow I show you. Now this is the vertical axis. If not, we say it y axis, and the other one, this is the horizontal axis, we call it x axis. So normally the vertical axis gives us the number, represent the number of students, number of teachers, and as it is relevant to the graph. And here the horizontal axis gives the other criteria represented by the graph, that is, now here it is mode of transport, car, bus, van, school van, favorite modes of transports. Right. Okay. Next, it is another bar graph, my dear. This is different from the first one, but the difference is here we have two options. Now, as same as the vertical axis, represent the numbers or the percentage, and here it is given in numbers. Here we have in 2017 how many girls and how many boys. Now blue color, it indicates girls, and the red color, it indicates boys. Right, like that there are two options. Right. Now this is a pie chart. We call it a P chart too. Now in this chart, we don't have horizontal and vertical axis. Here we have the sectors. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 sectors in this chart, and it gives the details of favorite games. And here this is a Venn diagram. It is also same like pie chart, but it has circles, right? Okay, so this is a line chart, and it is also little bit similar to bar graph. We have the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. Yes, next one is a table. It is different from every one we met earlier slides. Now here it is a table. In the table we find columns and rows. Now here there are two columns. First one food item, and the second one number of students, and rows we have down here. So in a table we have columns and rows. So, my dear students, now you know these types of charts are there to come for the O-level examination. Now, really we don't know from that what type of graph or the chart we would get for the O-level exam. So, we have to be thorough with the keywords and the parts and everything of those particular charts and graphs. So, now let's pay attention to the question. Now, in this question, we have three instructions. The first one is in black color. The following bar graph depicts the favorite apps used to do the online classes by a set of teachers of your school. And it says what does the bar graph display. And the next sentence, study the bar graph and write a description about it. මේ bar graph එක අධ්‍යයනය කරලා we have to write a description about it. The third one is use about 100 words. වචන 100ක් විතර පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Right. Now this is our bar graph and we have to describe this. Now here's the number of teachers and here the apps, favorite apps. My dear, I use this because I need to get you familiar with the apps we are using for online classes these days. You know, now these days you all may be having online classes with your teachers. So now this Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Blue Jeans, Google Meet, Zoom. These are apps we can use or to do online classes. We can download these apps from the internet. Okay. So here we can see, let's study the graph. Now the question says study the graph. Now what is the highest number? 70. What is the least? Blue jeans. Zoom is the highest. It is 70. Here 10. And there are some similar numbers, Google Meet and Google Classroom. And there is an average one. It doesn't belong to the highest or the lowest. So it is an average value. Microsoft Teams. Right, let's go forward. Now, as I told you, your question should be constructed in a sequential order like this. Okay. First, you can describe the maximum value, the maximum number of, the highest number of, the most popular, the majority, the highest percentage of, and you can describe the minimum value, avamaya, the minimum number of, the lowest number of, the least number of, minority. My dear children, it is very clear. Now you can see the opposite sets in the same color, maximum and the minimum, highest and the lowest, most and least, majority and the minority, and here in green color the percentage. Now I told you, my dear children, the vertical axis represents a value, a figure. So it can be in a number or a percentage. ප්‍රතිශතයක් වශයෙන් දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. When it is in a percentage, we have to write the highest percentage of the maximum percentage. Highest and minimum value also we can write the lowest percentage, right? And as I told you, next you can talk about the equal values. An equal number of an equal percentage of a similar number of a similar percentage of, we can say, students, teachers, and like that. In this paragraph bar graph, it is the teachers. Prefer, කැමති, like, right? Both you can use. The next thing, now we talked about the maximum value, then we go to the minimum value, then the equal value, and then we are going to compare and contrast the things represented by the graph, that is more popular than, less popular than, higher than, lower than, the difference between highest and the lowest. That sort of sentence also we can write, the difference between highest and the lowest. And now let's construct the answer. Right. You see the first sentence. We have to, the first sentence should describe the fact that what does the bar graph display us. Now you see the above bar graph. Now I have written within bracket following. Can you remember, if we remind the question, the following bar graph, පහත සඳහන් bar graph. එහෙනම් now we have the space to write the answer below the bar graph. bar graph එකට පහලින් අපිට තියෙන නිසා අපි ලියනවා the above bar graph. ඉහත සඳහන් bar graph එකේ. It shows, depicts the favorite apps. මොනවද පෙන්වන්නේ? Shows what? Favorite apps. For what? Used to do online classes. Home by a set of teachers in your school. They have given us in your school. So, we are using the name of our school here. Now, here I have used a different name of a school. Teachers in St. Peter's College, Colombo. Right. Now, the first sentence says, what does the bar graph show us? And the second sentence, we can say, the bar graph consists of two axes. You see the word in red color, axis, axis. What is the difference? Axis means the plural and the axis singular. The bar graph consists of two axes, the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. The vertical axis represents the number of students, while the horizontal axis indicates the favorite apps. There are 5 apps. Right. We tell that there are 2 axes and vertical and horizontal. Then we tell that there are 5 apps, namely Google Meet, Blue Jeans, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, and Zoom. Then the maximum number of teachers. As I told you earlier, we write about the maximum number. Maximum number of teachers like the Zoom. That is 70. The maximum number of teachers use the Zoom. That is 70. We can say in both ways. Then Just after the maximum, we can write the minimum number of teachers use blue jeans. That is 10. Next, what we are going to do? We can see the difference. The difference between the maximum and the minimum is 60. And next, we are going to talk about the equal numbers if it is there. The equal number of teachers use Google Meet and Google Classroom. It is 50. Next, now there is one app. It doesn't belong to maximum or minimum. It lies alone. We can tell about that. The app Microsoft Teams has an average value of 30. Average value. The apps Google Meet and Google Classroom second only to Zoom. My dear children, you can say a word connecting the first one and the second one. Second one, second only to first one. පළවෙනි එකට විතරයි ඒක දෙවනි වෙන්නේ. අනිත් අයට වඩා ඉදිරියෙන් එන්නේ. Right? Okay. We can tell a sentence like that also. Right. Okay. Next. What do we have the next? We'll see. Right. It is second only to Google Meet and Google Classroom. Right. Now we have to conclude this answer. We have to write the conclusion. Right. When we observe the graph, we can have an overall idea about the apps. We can have an overall idea about the apps. When we are going to observe another bar graph, we can have an overall idea about the games or about the transport mode. Anything, it is represented by the horizontal axis. Right. Okay. When we observe the graph, we can have an overall idea about the apps used to do the online classes by the teachers of the above school, the teachers of that particular school. We can use the name of the school instead of this above. Right. I think now you can construct an answer for the 14th question. Well, my dear children, you have to keep it in your mind. First of all, read the instructions given by the question well, and after that, you have to think of those 4 criteria and construct your answer. Do you think is it that difficult? Now, this is not that much difficult. If you remember if you learn the keywords by heart, කටපාඩම් කරගත්තොත් මේ words ටික maximum value, minimum value, right? You can go to the previous slides and okay, you can write them down or note down those things, and after that you have to learn it by heart and you can construct a successful answer. Maximum, minimum. Then switch on to equal. Then the conclusion. And the things displayed by the bar graph can be written in the introductory sentence. So, I hope this video will help you to construct a successful answer. Right. Okay. Children. Then I have to remind you something important. as this is the corona pandemic season. Now, all our country is affected by the corona pandemic. So, you have to consider this matter much. When you are going out, you have to use this facial mask, and this is called a facial mask, and you have to use this sanitizer when you don't have water, right? Wherever you go, be on alert and be careful. And you have to work hard. The O-level examination is coming nearer and we'll help you. Please stay safe and good luck. Goodbye.